time for a second cup of coffee. And I have got something a little crazy this morning. Okay, I am going to use, I talk about using stuff from my pantry, some roasted sesame seed, or you could use just plain sesame seeds. These are just, if you ever want something a little crunchy and nutty, but you don't want all those calories that are in nuts, try just a tiny handful of sesame seeds. I'm going to use Hershey's Cocoa. Okay. I'm going to use Corto Espresso on my original line Pixie machine. This has a spicy, intense, peppery flavor that kind of lingers in your mouth. So I wanted something that was going to be a little punchy, made of African Arabicas and Robusta. And yes, I do keep sugar in my house. I mainly keep it for making nectar for hummingbirds, but I do have some. I don't generally use sugar, but I am going to use it this morning, okay? Now let's see, this is something that I thought up myself. So, you know how sometimes, think of a coffee streusel kind of cake. It's got that streusel topping on the nice soft coffee cake, and the streusel is a little bit hard, and you break through it into that nice soft cake. I'm going to make a coffee that hopefully has a little bit of a crust on it. And that's why I want to use the sugar. So, okay, I've got oat milk in here. Let me take it over here and start it frothing, because I need for the oat milk, I need it for it to be frothed up in order to make this concoction. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see, what am I going to do? I guess I'm going to brew the Corto next as an espresso. Okay, so there that goes. And I'm waiting for the oat milk to froth. Okay, now I'm going to make a crust. I hope it'll be a crust of the Hershey's Cocoa and some roasted sesame seeds, and I'm going to put a little sugar in. And the reason I'm going to put the sugar in is because sugar tends to be, we call it hygroscopic. It attracts water. It's, swells with water. So hopefully that's going to make the crust. I don't know. This is like totally, an experiment based on theory. I don't know if it's going to come out in reality. But I thought, wouldn't that be nice, to have a sort of a chocolatey, sweet chocolatey crust. And I like sesame seeds. Now, here's the part you may or may not want to have these. I used to get a shake years ago at Dairy Queen. It was a chocolate chip shake. And they would mix up those chocolate chips into the shake. And when you were drinking it, you'd get little tiny pieces of chocolate chip. And you'd drink it, and then you'd have some little chips you could chew. So I thought, now it may or may not be nice to have the sesame seeds to chew. So I thought, well, why not give it a try? Oh, okay, the milk is ready. Hang on. Okay, so now there may be a, sort of a timing to all this. I don't know. Okay, so in goes milk and froth. I'm not going to fill up the froth too much because I don't want things to spill over. Okay, how can I show you? Let me, all right, I didn't plan this real well. Okay, let me open up the cocoa. I get a little bit, so maybe a teaspoon and a half. Okay, and I'm just shaking it on top, kind of spread it around a little bit. All right, I'm gonna put this down so I can show you what I'm doing. Whether or not it will be worth seeing, well, that remains to be seen, right? Okay, so I get the sugar here. Oh, let me get a clean spoon. I don't want to leave any cocoa powder in there. I don't know if hummingbirds like it. Okay, very, very small amount of sugar on there. Okay. Now, let me get the sesame seeds. I wonder if I should tamp that down just a little bit. And you know, I don't know the order that would have been best, if I should have mixed the cocoa with the sugar. That might have been a good thing. Okay, I can see how the cocoa is getting a little bit dark, so it's kind of mixing a bit with the liquid. I'm just gonna give this a lick. Okay. Now I imagine this being mounded on the top. Well, I can try that later. Okay, so there's that. Oh, isn't that pretty? It's interesting anyway. I don't know, does it look like a bird seed coffee? Now, what if I wonder if I could pour just a tiny bit, tiniest little drops of milk here and there. Okay, and I put a tiny bit more froth on top. Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing. You know, I'm just trying this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a slurp and see. It's kind of fun chewing it because the sugar and the cocoa are still, the cocoa's still a little powdery, the sugar is a little crunchy, and the sesame seeds are still crunchy. I don't want to stir it in. I like this topping. Just like if you're eating streusel cake, you know, it's nice to have the topping separate from the cake. You don't want to mash it all together. That kind of ruins those different consistencies when they're all blended together. It's nice having them separate in your mouth and then crunching down on them. This is kind of fun. My gosh, I mean, I wouldn't go to the trouble of this every morning, but it's definitely a fun thing for this morning. Here, this is how it looks. Okay. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the chocolate, the sweetness and crunchiness of the sugar, and the sesame seeds, which I love the flavor of sesame. So what should I call this? Chocolate sesame crunch latte? Why not? Hey, you know what? Trying new things, being open to them, seeing what you think about them, that's a growth mindset. Not just with coffee, but with everything in life.